Today I wanted to share 3 essential tips to help me go from 0 to 1 as a Christian creative. So whether you're starting out with music or any other creative expression for that matter, these steps will help you take action with clarity and purpose. So let's dive in with tip number 1. The first thing you have to do is make space for creativity. This is mentally, spiritually, and with your time. You can't create if you don't plan for it. Whether it's blocking off time in your calendar or setting a dedicated space, creating room for your art matters. As Christians, our calling is higher. We need to create from a place of overflow. When we lead and create from an empty place, we end up serving up the stale bread, the stale manna from yesterday. Our creativity should be the fruit of spending time with God, not just something we push through when we feel burnout or just need to do some form of self-expression. When it comes to actually expressing our art, brings us to kind of tip number 2. The second step or tip is listening. And I don't mean just listening to inspiring podcasts or great music, although that is important, but the real key is listening to what others are saying about your work and how it impacts them. This matters at every stage. Whether you're leading worship or sharing your art online, the worst thing you can become is a creative that's disengaged. If you're disconnected from your audience and from your community, you're kind of missing the whole point. Our creativity is the fruit that's meant to serve others. And to do that well, you have to know what resonates with them and you have to actually talk to them. Don't be a green room creative. Someone who stays distant and disconnected. Talk to people. Get their feedback and use it to shape your work in the thing that you actually put out into the world. That's how your creativity becomes a gift that actually means something and meets others where they are. And finally, tip number 3. Learn the tools of the trade, but don't overcomplicate it. Creativity is a skill, and just like any other skill, it takes time to grow. Start simple, learn the basics of whatever you're doing, and then learn the platforms and the strategy you'll need to share your work and hear that feedback. This isn't wasted time. Doing this through a Christian lens and focusing on pointing others to Christ makes your work more impactful and actually helps you spread your message. And look, I know this can feel overwhelming. When I started out, I wanted to do everything perfectly, and that's left me feeling stuck a lot of times. But here's the truth, we're not alone in our creativity or in sharing our work. God calls us to a high standard, but he also walks with us and gives us the strength and community often to do that. When I was younger, I gauged my success in worship, leadership, about how people responded, and I didn't listen well. So I kind of want to just share how that's changed. I used to gauge how I was doing about whether they raised their hands or whether they sang along or were interacting with what I've done. But now as a leader, I've gained some experience on what it means to listen well, and I've learned to listen differently. It's not that I'm unaware of how people are engaging with what I'm making. In fact, I'm probably hyper aware, but I study how they respond in order to lead them to where I would like them to go and ultimately to the source of all creativity. I want to lead them to the Creator himself. And once you start seeing this in your creativity and seeing the value that you can give others, you'll shift from reacting to actually leading. You want to create with purpose, pointing others to the ultimate creator. And the journey from 0 to 1 isn't easy, but it's worth it. And I'm confident if you do one of these 3 things, you will grow. You will begin to create for the creator and curate a culture for the kingdom. And if you have made it this far, and if you're ready to dive a little bit deeper and get some personalized support, I want to invite you to Flock. It's a community where I offer one-on-one mentorship as a creative in your corner to help you grow in your craft and character. But either way, I will be back here with more tips on just how to live your life faithfully as a creative to curate a culture for the kingdom. And I'll see you next time.